Thank you for cautioning also. I'll be very brief. I have prepared a paper presentation. Yes, time is limited, but these are important issues we have to consider and understand. At the same time, I'll take hardly 15 minutes, but always remember, it has always been a tradition that the initiator gets a little extra time. All of us, most of us, yesterday we were discussing. Many of us does not know the background and the Naga political issue history. Only few of us seniors like our CM, deputy, including Kaito, including our parliamentary affairs minister Ajay, they might know something. Whereas others like me, we are quite new to this. So it is very important that we know this Naga political history. Now the next generation, after our generation, they are almost all point blank. So I want to appeal to the leader of the house that in order to keep our Naga political history and aspiration alive, we have to inculcate, we have to make this Naga political history a compulsory subject from nursery itself or from class 1 till class 8, something like that, so that history will be continued. I can also rest assure you, out of the 100% so-called national workers, 95% will not know Naga political history. I'll give you a brief background and go to the important events with dates, years and figures. Therefore, I have to read a little bit. Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, has stated, in the early days, Nagas never organized ourselves into groups or tribes in the past. Therefore, Nagas was a unique group of people. Therefore, people take our history to be unique. Organizing ourselves into regions and tribes are a modern phenomenon. Our primary identities were the clan identity and the village identity. The clan identity normally is the bloodline identity, while the later, that is the village identity, is the socio-political identity. Interestingly, our clans never lived together in groups like clans or tribes or other ethnic groups. Clans scattered themselves in different villages. Now, meeting warfare and practice of war headhunting was for show of power and strength primarily, or to avoid being occupied or being dominated. We practice such things. In short, Nagas loved their independence and desired to be left alone. In the Anglo-Burma War of 1826, the British Colonel Raj gained control of a significant part of northeast India, including Naga Hills. Despite their external control of the region, the Nagas in general enjoyed their traditional autonomy till 20th century without undue interference. The British colonel left the sub-Indian continent without making any administrative link with many Naga groups, free Nagas or unadministered Nagas. It may be noted that India-Myanmar international boundary was only drawn in 1967. The Nagas desired not to be ruled or governed or understood and recognized by the British colonial rulers following a series of wars, like notably the Konoma Angami village war and the Krekrama Chakasang village war, which are officially documented in 1851 by Dalhousie, following stiff resistance from the Nagas, and the same was formalized in the Government of India Act 1853. If Nagas loved their village life independence without collective identity or any of that sort, how did their independence movement came about? That's one big question. The answer is a divine miracle story. Few important factors and causes may be highlighted. Number one, introduction of Christianity by the American missionaries in the mid-19th century and subsequently conversion of the Nagas from their ancestral amnestic religion to Christianity. The gospel of love found in Christianity made them reach out to their fellow Nagas. A point to be noted. It may be noted that the American missionaries were not known to have encouraged Naga movement for independence despite the suspicious and allegations of the Indian state. For their alleged role, the American missionaries were forced to leave the country by 1960. As noted above, the resistance spirit existed before the Nagas embraced Christianity. Nagas were not known to have any interest in joining any neighboring states, or kingdoms, like for instance Manipur Kingdom, or the Ahom Kingdom, or the Burmese Kingdom. Instead, they fought them to retain their independence, though some tried to maintain good relationship with them. Had we been conquered, had we been under any kingdom, today we'll be in Manipur, or under Ahom or Burmese Kingdom, but we never wanted to be that. Introduction of modern, number 2 point is, introduction of modern education through mission schools gave them the ability to communicate with different Naga groups. Schools also gave them a platform to meet, opportunity to be in the service of the British colonial Raj, and the experience of the 2 world wars, both in our homeland and outside the Naga homeland. It may be noted that Naga Club was the first organization of the Nagas formed by the Nagas who went to Europe as part of the British labor corps during the First World War. It was the same Naga Club which submitted the memorandum to the British Simon Commission in 1929 with a slogan, to leave the Nagas alone, to determine their own way of life as in the ancient times. The phrase, leave us alone, a direct quote from the memorandum, is powerful enough. This imagery clearly expresses the desire of the Nagas to be in a village, not to be a part of a state. Overall, the memorandum is a request to the colonial British not to leave the Nagas in the hands of any other power, state, if they decided to end their relationship with the Nagas, and not to subject the Nagas to any reforms. The above factors forged a sense of unity among the Nagas and helped us to articulate our modern Naga identity. It was the desire to be left alone, to determine our own life and future, that gave birth to modern Naga identity and Naga nationalism. This Naga Club slogan of 1929 got its formal recognition in the Government of India Act 1935. After this only, the Naga Hills was demarcated as excluded area. However, even before this formal representation was made to the British India government, the Angami Naga Gaumburas met the Viceroy during the latest visit to Imphal in 1901. This date is, many of our historians used to be this date, but this date is very important, and declared that Nagas were not subject to anyone except their own village before the British took control of the Naga areas. This can be found in government file number 445-15, Tour Diary of late W.N. Kennedy, ICS, officiating DC Naga Hills from July 1900 to 1901. Christianity and Naga freedom movement. These are also important factors. The historical fact of the Nagas, Gaumuras, asserting the rights of the Nagas in 1901 provides a good piece of evidence that the desire of the Nagas to be left alone, left free, was not the result of American missionaries' influence, as I stated earlier. People suspect the American missionaries that they influenced us to separate or to resist, but they are never. The Christian population in Nagaland was less than 1% at that time. As a matter of fact, history shows rapid conversion to Christianity took place in the peak of Indian military occupation in the 90s and 60s. Till 1940s, the percentage was below 140. That is, till 1940s, percentage of Christianity was below 15%. Even after 100 years of American missionaries working with us. But it jumped to 46% in 1950 and 52% in 1960 and kept increasing till date. So therefore now, when you do a research, this strongly suggests that the atrocities of the Indian state forces against the Nagas somehow had something to do with the Nagas' conversion into Christianity. Itu American missionary भाना नहीं किना, अमरखान atrocities, अमरखान की पिछी दुख दिया करने, मुरा करने, rape करा करने, नागा मनु उपाय नहीं तो, कौन बार सेंटे एक बिसारे बुलाए तो, itu ber चाहे ना Christianity वाली पिछी ऐसे conversion तो. Now coming to the most important events of Naga political history, how it was made, who contributed, what group contributed the most, you'll find it here. There may be some mistakes. My research may not be 100% right, but I think I have at least 80% right figures here. Perhaps the origin of the Naga freedom struggle may be traced back to the Treaty of Yandambo, signed in 1826 during Burma and the British. Although our country was not defined in the treaty, it got entangled as the treaty divided the Naga territory between India and Burma, now known as Myanmar, without the knowledge and consent of the Nagas. See, look at Mr. Deputy Speaker, look at the way they treated the Nagas at that time. Without our consent, without consultation, they even divided our land. Following the arrival of the British into the Naga territory in the year 1822 and the violent resistance attitude from the Nagas, the British adopted a policy of non-interference in the year 1851 and 1853 policies. In order to protect the unique culture and lifestyle of the Naga tribes, including many Northeast, the British Parliament introduced and implemented the Inner Line Permit. Inner Line Permit was born at that time, built as a part of the famous Bengal Eastern Frontier and Regulation Act 1873. The bill restricted citizens of India to enter our land until and unless they obtained a permit. That permit is Inner Line Permit. At present, the Bengal Eastern Frontier Regulation 1873 continues to apply in the present day Arunachal, Mizoram and Nagaland. By 1879, the British took control of some parts of the Indian territory and called the administered areas Naga Hills, and the inhabitants, the Naga subjects. The Nagas outside this area were called free Nagas, unadministered area. Then came First World War, one of the most important events, wherein some 2,000 Nagas were recruited and sent to France to fight alongside the British force as Naga little corps. Though they were not meant to fight at the front lines, the material nature of the Nagas took the better of them, and many of them fought bravely at the front line. One can still see memorials erected in Europe to honor those brave Naga warriors. Many historians are of the view that the war veterans, on their return to their homeland, established the Naga Club in 1918. Perhaps in the sense of mutual trust and friendship among the people and the solidarity developed during their exposure to the outside world. However, based on 1901 Voice of the Nagas, it is clearly evident that the desire of the Nagas was to be left alone. Nagas had no desire to become a part of any state. Becoming a part of any state would be antithetical to our culture and tradition, which gave our ancestors so much freedom. In the year 1929, 10 January, the British Naga subjects, called Naga Club, demanded independence when the Indian Statutory Commission, headed by Sir John Simon, visited Kohima to get the opinion of the Nagas whether they would join the coming new reforms, which afterwards became the government of Act 1935. In the year 1935, the Naga Hills was kept outside the purview of Government of India Act 1935 as an excluded area. In the following year, in the 1936, Naga Hills was allowed to remain excluded area outside the Indian Constitution Act 1935. The Naga Club transformed into a formal political organization, first as Naga Hills. NNC did not come first, Mr. Deputy Speaker said. Naga Hills Tribal Council, established in 1945, he became the undisputed leader and retained the position till his death in 1990. Ms. Adina Daughter assumed the presidency from 1st May 1990 till date. In 1946, when the British cabinet mission was sent to India, the NNC informed the mission that Naga future would not be bound by any arbitrary decision of the British government and that the Nagas would not accept any recommendation without consultation. A point to be noted, Mr. Deputy Speaker. In one of the Nehru's letters when he was in jail, he stated that a stretch of portion or a portion of land between India and Burma does not belong to Burma and India. He gave us a clear statement. That means we Nagas are free. But the fate of the Naga political movement took a new U-turn when Nehru became the Prime Minister. Nehru perceived the Naga aspiration differently. He wrote in a letter to the NNC, "It is obvious that the Naga territory in eastern Assam is too small to stand by itself, politically and economically. It lies between the two countries, India and China, and a part of it consists of rather backward people who requires considerable help. Eventually, some part of the Naga homeland became part of Indian independence, while some became Myanmar, that time Burma. In 1947, the controversial Akbar-Hyder Accord, also known as the 9-Point Agreement, was signed between the governor of Assam and the NNC after deliberation for 3 days. They deliberated for 3 days, June 26, 27, and 28 in 1947. However, due to different interpretation, both the parties, it became a dead agreement. The difference is the governor of Assam, as an agent of the government of India Union, will have a special responsibility for 10 years to ensure the observance of the agreement. At the end of this period, the Naga Council shall be asked whether they require the above agreement to be extended for a further period or new agreement regarding the Naga, future of the Naga people arrive at. The interpretation of the Nagas, Mr. Deputy Speaker, is that after 10 years, Nagas can choose to become a free nation. That was our interpretation. The government of India's interpretation was different. The interpretation was that India will decide the fate of the Nagas after 10 years of this agreement. With that difference, this agreement became a deadlock. The tribes that represented on this agreement and signed the agreement were Western Angamis, Eastern Angamis, Kukis, Kachanagas, Rengmas, Semas, Lotas, Aus, Sangtams, and Chams. In the year 1947, Naga delegation met Mahatma Gandhi in July 19 in New Delhi at Bangri colony and informed him of the decision of the Nagas to be independent. Gandhi approved the Naga independence. Gandhi's statement, I'll read it out. Nagas have every right to be independent. This is his clear statement. We did not want to live under the dominance of the British. They are leaving us now. I want you to feel that India is yours. I feel Naga hills are mine just as much as they are yours. But if you say it is mine, then the matter must stop there. I believe in brotherhood of man, but I do not believe in forced union. That was his statement. If you do not wish to join the Union of India, nobody can force you to do that. In 1947, on 14 August, very important date for the Nagas. Nagas declared our independence. The government of India and the United Nations were informed through cable subsequently. Nagas must remember, Mr. Deputy Speaker, Nagas must remember, we have declared our independence before India declared their independence. Therefore, the world must recognize this. Had we declared our independence after the Indian independence, they can term us as hostile. They can term us as traitors. They can term us as rebellion, or call our problem as insurgency-related problem. They can call us that. But today, they can never call us in such a manner. History clearly shows. In the year 1949, November 28, 11 members of Naga delegation met with the Governor General for free ourselves from India, Sri Ram Gopalachari in Shillong, His Excellency. He also said the same thing. Nagas are at full liberty to become independent if they feel it. Then in the year 1950, January 19, 4th delegation of NNC went to Delhi to meet the Governor General of India. An interview was refused by External Ministry and the delegation was advised to meet the Governor of Assam. In 1950, the same year, 14 January, as advised by the External Ministry, a delegation went to Shillong to meet the Governor of Assam, Shri Prakasha. Again, he also stated again that Indian Constitution cannot bind the Nagas. Nagas are at full liberty to become
Please conclude.
In 1950, it'll take only hardly 2 minutes now. So then came the Naga Plebiscite, the most important event conducted in 1951. The government of India was informed in January regarding the plan to conduct the Naga voluntary plebiscite, and a letter was sent to the President of India for sending their representatives for observing the occasion. Naga did nothing hidden. So finally, in April 11, the plebiscite was announced to start in March 16, 1951. So on March 16, 1951, the Naga voluntary plebiscite was successfully conducted with 99.9% voting in favor of sovereign Indian Naga nation. In the same year, 1951, on August 19 December, the 23-member Naga delegation went to Shillong and asked the governor of Assam, Jairam Das Dalutaram, to forward the result of the Naga voluntary plebiscite to the government of India, New Delhi, but he refused to do the proposal. Then again came 1956, in March 22, Nagaland became a republic with the merger of Honking government representing the Naga, Free Nagas, and the NNC representing the Nagas. The then FGN was formed. Honking government is more or less the Eastern Naga NNC. Eastern Naga NNC and our NNC combined form the FGN. On 26 April 1960, the controversial 16-point agreement between the government of India and Naga People's Convention was signed, a participation of only overgrounds and not undergrounds. February 1961 saw the renaming of Naga Hills Twingsang area to Nagaland. After much negotiation and deliberation, Nagaland became the 16th state of India in 1st December 1963, so it is crystal clear that our state was carved out of the 16-point agreement. The first ceasefire was signed between the Nagas and the government of India in 1964 through an initiative by the NBCC. December 1973 saw new births of district, Zenet, Poto and Woka being carved out of Mokokchung, Phek district being carved out of Kohima, Mon being carved out of Twingsang. Now, Peace Accord, Shillong Accord, November 11, 1975. This is where things went wrong. 6% attended it, and Mr. Veni Rako was the only person among the 6 members who refused to sign the agreement. This accord sowed the seed of discord among the NNC members. A reminder to the Nagas and government of India is that on the same year, dated 25 November 1975, published in the London Times by late Fizo, is denouncing the signating and his participation in this accord and stating that he has nothing to do with this Shillong Accord. His only desire is that any solution should be honorable and acceptable. Then in the year 1980, 31st January, after a gap of 34 years of its existence, the NNC finally split into 2 groups, namely NNC and NSCN. Following the split, the Nagas movement has witnessed triple split. Today we're talking about 25, 26 groups. There are many NNCs and NSCN groups today. On August 1st, 1997, a ceasefire was signed between the government of India and NSCN-IM. It is still operational. During this agreement, several rounds of political talks between the government of India and NSCN have been taking place within and outside the state. Then came framework agreement. Now I find the end. Framework agreement was signed between the government of India and NSCN-IM on 3rd August 2015. Then after a gap of 2 years, agreed position was signed between the government of India and Naga national political groups on November 17, 2017. Then to our surprise, on 31st October, R.N. Ravi, the then governor, 31 of us were present here, in his speech declared that the talks were concluded. To me, after much thought, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir, the word concluded without any positive outcome may mean that both agreements have been rejected by the government of India. If so, we may have to go back to our original demand. Today, I can see you're impatient, Mr. Deputy Speaker, sir. I have only 2 more paras. Today, Nagas having 25, 26 who call themselves as national workers is not something which we can be proud of. For me, this is something we should be ashamed of. For 34 years, there has been an undivided NNC, and this was the true mandate of the Nagas. Therefore, what we need now is another undivided NNC to take forward our Naga political issue till such time we achieve our aspiration, if the two agreements are not honored. Honorable members, as leaders, we must speak the truth and stand up for the truth. Let us call all national workers to come under one umbrella and to create another undivided NNC in order to achieve our long-desired goal. That is sovereignty and nothing besides sovereignty. Last suggestion, I would like to repeat again. As we have observed over the years, all talks and negotiations have miserably failed due to non-participation of both overgrounds and undergrounds together. So in order to make the talks successful, I would like to suggest that both the parties take part in the talks. And so therefore, as I stated yesterday, I want to repeat again, legislators should not be only play the role of facilitator, but should be a part of the negotiation to wind up and bring this to a logical conclusion. Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker.